ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the
Check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and welcome to the Breakfast Bankroll, live from sunny but brisk Cape Cod. It's 28 degrees, icy out there, but we're surviving. And I guess Scotty live from Tampa, a little cold as well, but we'll get that full recap there. Headliner today, BIJAN mustards the Rams. You could tell right away it had that feeling of when the Bills came to town a handful of weeks ago when they steamed the Bills. Not a great performance by Stafford. Congrats to all the fantasy football champs. True story. I had a bad year. I couldn't close. Anytime I had an opportunity to cash, nowhere to be found. And I needed 19.5 points from Stafford just to get some flash cash in a league. And after the first half, I was counting it out. Well, long story short, that touchdown to Puka gave me a half-point lead. And that final possession, if he throws an interception, I lose. So I ended up winning. I got lucky, though. So it is what it is. First and foremost, a shout-out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It is free. And, of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steaks, seafood, chops, appetizers, wine. Terry's got it all. I'm going to try to get him on before the Georgia game. If not, we'll come bring him on to recap. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Scotty Webb. What's up, champ?
Yeah, that was probably the good morning, by the way. I think that was probably the most embarrassing performance the Rams have had, and especially in the first half. I mean, you have touchdowns called back, you have interceptions, you have 3 and outs. I mean, you can't run the ball, and then you give up big plays. It was a confusing performance to me, and then all of a sudden it could have went into overtime, and they could have won the game in overtime. So theoretically, they didn't stop them on the last drive. So it was a confusing effort on what I saw. So I don't know what to think of that or what to make of that, because data wise, the Rams are the best team in the NFL. And they just went in and embarrassed themselves. So now that changes the dynamics of the playoffs too, because what it means for Tampa. So I don't know if they talked about it enough on TV last night, but
and before you go in, it was more of a shocker because you got 3 preview games. You got 2 on Saturday. You got your Bucks hosting Carolina, and the initial headliner, win and in. And then, of course, we then go to Seattle and the 49ers playing for the number 1 seed. And then the Sunday night game, Pittsburgh at Steelers winning in. And then after this Atlanta win, everyone, go ahead. I'll let you say it out loud to everyone that went to bed. This is Comedy Central.
Yeah. So what happens now is Tampa Bay can win against Carolina and still not make the playoffs. This is how this works. So now if Atlanta, who plays the Saints this weekend, and they're favorites over the Saints, if they play the Saints and beat the Saints, then they'll have the same record as the best team above them, which would be either Tampa Bay or Carolina, right? So they have the same record. But so if they win, Tampa Bay wins, and Carolina loses, they're all tied. They all have the same record, all three of them. So in a three-way playoff breakdown, the tiebreaker is who's the best team out of playing those teams. Carolina playing the Tampa Bay and Carolina playing, Atlanta, and then all of them, vice versa. So the way that came out was Atlanta's 3-1, Tampa Bay's 2-2, and Atlanta's 1-3. So that means that Tampa Bay can beat Carolina, Atlanta can beat New Orleans, and then it doesn't matter what Carolina does. They can lose and still be in because their tiebreaker is better. So it's weird. Now, so if Atlanta loses to the Saints, and I think the Saints are on a 4 or 5 game win streak. So it's not going to be an easy game. I know Atlanta is too, but these are two, teams are going to butt heads, I guess. So as that turns around, if Atlanta loses, then it's a 2-game tiebreaker, and Tampa Bay wins a 2-game tiebreaker, and they're in. So it's the weirdest thing in the world. So and that's if Tampa Bay wins. So if they win, they can still make it, but they need help now. They can't get in on their own. So it's I guess it goes back to the same food of thought of control your own destiny when you can. Win the games you need to win, and don't worry about all this other crap. Yeah, like Pittsburgh, do the same thing. Beat Cleveland and you're in. Stuff like that.
Yeah, and so the comedy is simple. Carolina wins, they're in. The games don't matter on Sunday. If Tampa wins, they need Saints. And the Saints, by the way, theoretically are playing for something. The quarterback there, the Tyler Shupp guy, offensive rookie of the year or something like that, he's right up at top with someone else there. So all right, I'll say it this way. Bucks win, Falcons win, Bucks are in.
Not if the Falcons win.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Bucks win, Saints win, Bucks in. Carolina wins, we don't have to worry about Sunday. And the loss, and another scenario, Drake May coming off a 5-touchdown performance against the Jets. We do know that. And then the dreadful performance by Stafford, which really reminded me at Carolina game. They had won 3 in a row back. They had beaten at the 49ers. Then they hosted Seattle. Then they hosted your Bucks, and they traveled cross country to Carolina, and they lost like 30-28. I think Stafford had 4 picks that game, and I had flashbacks of that there. But now Drake made the big favorite to win the MVP. Also got news yesterday afternoon. Harbaugh said Herbert's not starting. He's not playing. So, in other words, Denver now 7-point favorites. They'll go to the 1 spot. The Pats should win. They're double-digit favorites. They play Miami to the 2 spot. But the Rams now are dancing with the devil. And maybe you have the scenarios up the top of your head where one scenario, they play the winner of the NFC South. And isn't there a scenario? No, I'm sorry. I think the Rams now did dance with the devil. I think they go to Chicago or Philadelphia. Am I correct there?
Yeah, pretty much. They are now. So we go to week 18, and right now, the way it's scheduled right this minute, the Rams are scheduled to play in Philadelphia right now. They're the 6th seed, and they go to Philadelphia. So obviously they wanted to be the 5th seed so that they go play Carolina or Tampa Bay. That was kind of the idea. So they needed to win. Well, obviously they didn't do that. So now they're supposedly either 5th or 6th seed. Well, I think that's going to depend on who wins the San Francisco game. So let's mark that down. Let's see. So if let's mark it this way: if the Rams win,
And McVay did say starters are playing.
So if the Rams win and the 49ers win, the Rams are still the 6th seed.
Okay.
And the 49ers become the number 1 seed, and then Seattle goes and plays Carolina.
Okay.
So if then we switch that and say Seattle wins. So if Seattle wins against San Francisco, Seattle becomes the number 1 seed. The Rams become the number 5 seed. And then the Rams go to Carolina, and then San Francisco has to go play in Philadelphia. So the reality becomes is that number 1 seed matchup also is going to affect Philadelphia, or what the Rams have to do in terms of where they play. So if Seattle wins, then the Rams get Carolina. If San Francisco wins, then the Rams get the Eagles.
Well, I did want to, my love affair for Seattle for a long, long time. San Fran opened up 1.5 point favorites, and the shops just pounded again. Right now at the Circa, good morning, Mr. Benson. Good morning, Mr. Stevens. Seattle minus 1.5 with a 50. Initial thoughts on that?
I'm not in love with that. I'm not opposed to it 100% either. What was the score of the first game?
That was opening day, if my memory serves me correct, and Seattle just chewed with their food, had the lead a couple times, and I want to say San Fran won in a low-scoring game, like 23-20. It was a low-scoring opening day, first week.
Like I don't remember, so I'm going to look at this. Where's who am I talking about? I'm talking about San Francisco and schedule. What was the game? They played
week 1.
Yeah, they played at Seattle. San Francisco won the game 17-13. That was the outcome.
It was an ugly game.
Yeah, 17-13. It doesn't look like so interesting, I guess, how that and it could be that way again this time, but I don't think so. I'm concerned, I guess the way I would say it is I'm concerned San Francisco's got a poor defense. And they're gonna, you saw them play the Bears. They couldn't stop the Bears. Now the Bears have a pretty good offense. I don't think Seattle's offense is as good as the Bears, but I do think their defense is top notch. Like I don't think it's as good as Houston, but it's right there. Like it's right there. There's not a whole lot, difference there. I think Houston puts way more pressure on the quarterback, rushing the passer and stuff. But so how does that really match up? And obviously I'm going to have to do my numbers and all that stuff. And I'm now get Sam Hoppin stuff. He must've took last week off, but anyway, I think what's happening here and what could happen here is you get elite offense versus elite defense, average defense against average offense. But I think Seattle's offense might be just a tick better than a little above average.
I was going to interject there. Their offense, you check your numbers, their offense is above an average offense here.
No, I get it, but I can't buy into Sam Darnold. I can't. I don't like him in these spots. I don't like him in big games. And he's been getting bailed out in these last games. He's throwing interceptions and fumbling the football and, making stupid decisions and all that stuff. So I think as it kind of looks, it's one of these things where, how much can San Francisco take advantage of that when their defense is like a sieve? I mean, like you can throw on them all you want because they can't rush the passer. You know what I mean? Like if Sam Darnold can stand back there and throw the ball, he might be in pretty good shape. So that could be the key to the game. Like if he can just stand back there and not have to worry about stuff, that might be the key. And Seattle is the right side. So, now they think about it, how do you get Sam Darnold to make mistakes? You put pressure on him. And can San Francisco do that? I don't know that they can without bringing the house all the time. I mean, they didn't against the Bears. I mean, the Bears have trouble, and they don't do it against anybody. The Bosa being out really affects that team.
Well, we talked about this last week. We talked about seedings and stuff. And listen, this is the first year in a long, long time where you can make a case for everyone. Everyone's got flaws. Everyone's got holes, especially in the AFC. The comedy is with the Rams blundering. Is I've said all along, I think it's a two-headed race there with the Rams in Seattle there, and who gets home field. I'm just going to say this out loud, and I get the Darnold thing. That's the funny thing about the NFC and Darnold. 14-1 last year, lose their last two, deer in the headlight, sucked in the playoffs. I get it. I do. Goes to Seattle, okay, loses the first game. Offense was awful. I remember it like it was yesterday. But this team, Charbonnet and Walker both healthy. Their defense top-notch, as you said. And that's the one spot, the 12th man. We talk about certain stadiums and situations. Arrowhead. We'll see about Mile High. I'm not buying in on the orange Kool-Aid. My point to you, Scotty, is if San Fran gets the number one seed, it's a great story. They don't have to leave. They don't have to pack. If they win out, they go to the Super Bowl. They're hosting the Super Bowl. We know how that ends. My point is if Seattle wins, which I think Seattle wins this game, okay? They get a bye. They get to host. The Rams got to go to Philly. My point is, there's my NFC team. But my point, very simply, is I still think the Rams can do it. I don't think the 49ers can go into Seattle and win. And I have my doubts about Philly, but they're the defending champs. But my point is, if Seattle wins on Saturday, and I think they're going to be a real tough out come in the playoffs.
Well, that's going to. I agree that Seattle is a tough place to play. The 12s or whatever they call them up there, and how noisy it is, and all that stuff. But I also think that it would be helpful to them to have a little bit of bad weather there. That would be a good thing for them in terms of help. Whereas teams like Chicago and teams like Philadelphia, they're going to get the help from the snow and the wind and the rain and the cold weather. They're going to get that, and then you have the teams. Where do you go? And then you have the teams like, well, I guess the Rams are the only one now, because Green Bay's used to that. I mean, Green Bay, like Green Bay's going to go play, and I don't think that changed at all. So Green Bay's going to go play the Bears. That's pretty much set in stone, I think. And then the Rams are going to play the Eagles, or the 49ers are going to play the Eagles, or Seattle, whichever one wins that game. And then the other games in Carolina. So Carolina is not going to be a place that anybody's too worried about. But I think that Seattle could be that one home field that is dramatically different. In the AFC, you're going to have teams playing in Jacksonville. You're going to have teams playing in New England or Denver. So, that's going to be cold and stuff. And I don't know what's going to happen in Pittsburgh and Baltimore. So, Baltimore's favored to win that game. So if Baltimore wins, then it's going to be the same kind of cold stuff, whether it be Pittsburgh or Baltimore. But that's the worst thing for Houston. Like Houston's doing all this stuff and all these good things, and they play indoors and end up having to go play a team like Pittsburgh or Baltimore or somebody in the cold weather and all that stuff. So I don't know. I think that's a team though that can handle that, only in a sense that they're not a super explosive team. I say that, and then they had those big plays last week. But anyway, I think it'll be interesting how that all breaks out. But I do think it's very important to figure out who's playing who and where, because the Chargers right now at a 6th seed are set up to play Jacksonville. That's not a big deal for them, right? But if it was the Chargers having to go play New England, that could be a problem.
Well, can I interject? Because a lot of people are saying Chargers are going to New England because they're already assuming the loss in Week 18. They're not playing anyone. So Denver gets the 1, the Pats get the 2. They're saying the Chargers, I assume, would drop and then would come to New England.
Well, if I put Denver in there to win, New England wins, and I don't know who you want to say wins that game. We'll just say Baltimore wins. So if looks like they would go play New England if they lose this game against Denver. That's it pops up and switch them out, and then Buffalo would go play Jacksonville, which I think that would be a great matchup for Buffalo. But it's still they got to play defense there, and then you have Houston going to play Baltimore or Pittsburgh. So that would be an interesting matchup too. So those would be pretty good matchups to try to figure out handicap wise. So I regardless, I would say this, regardless of not having, quote, the NFL super team, I think the matchups are going to be good. I think that the games are going to be good. And I think having a little bit of that unknown factor of who's dominant in these games is going to make them uniquely fun. Like it's, I don't know. I don't know that you're going to see a bunch of big spreads and this stuff. I think they're going to match up pretty good with each other. If Green Bay plays if Green Bay plays like they would be the 7th seed against the 2 seed. And if Green Bay goes and plays, Chicago, I don't think that's more than a touchdown. I think that's a lot less than a touchdown for Chicago. I do.
Well, let me stop you right there. I love playing the game in my head. Call me crazy. First and foremost, Houston would be favored in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think so.
And then in Baltimore, as bad as Baltimore's playing, if Lamar's playing, Baltimore would be less than 3. I think Baltimore would be about a 1.5. That's how bad they're playing against this Houston team. Chicago and the Packers, round number 3. I tell you this right now, Scotty, if they made the Bears the favorite 1.5, 2, I guarantee you the shops would just, because of the playoff experience, I guarantee you that the Packers would get slammed. I'll go on record. I have nothing here. I don't have. I think the Packers at the Bears. I think they open up the Packers minus 1.5. I do.
I think they're starting to give Bears credit now. I think they're starting to give them credit for being a good team, and I don't know what the status is going to be of the Packers and their situation with Love. He'll be fine probably by that time. And then, Watson and some of those guys that are hurt in their offensive line and all that stuff. But anyway, I just think they're going to be really competitive, obviously odds and numbers on those games. And I think New England might be a little bit of a favorite against the Chargers, at home in the cold weather. And then, I think Buffalo would be favored over Jacksonville on the road. And I think Houston would probably obviously be favored on the road. So I think, but they're not going to be, huge numbers. So I think these are going to be, spots where you sit there and go, yeah, this is kind of fun. We're going to have decent games and decent numbers.
How come you just said they're going to give credit to Chicago? When are we going to give credit to Jacksonville?
I don't think anybody's going to give credit to Jacksonville.
Oh.
I really don't.
And Josh is banged up, and they got no defense.
That's my point too. I think that's the same way. I mean, so value wise, I think you can probably get that. But it's the Buffalo Bills. You know what I mean? Like it's the Buffalo. It's Josh Allen. I think they're going to go and say, hey, they're the favorite on the road. I don't think they're going to give the credit to Jacksonville. And if you break it down, Jacksonville over the last 4 or 5 games has had the number 1 defense in all the NFL.
It's crazy. Great. And it's going to be fun. We'll have a lot of fun with this. Bowl game yesterday, the Georgia Southern game. What a kick in the groinies. Team total over 14.5 for 16.5 first half. Score 7-0. First and goal from the 4. Have to settle, of course, for 3. And then, of course, they kick a field goal on the last play of the half to get to 13 instead of 17, of course. And then a minute and 20 seconds in, they score a touchdown in the third quarter. And then they scored again. Then they got stuck on stupid. They end on 29. But Georgia Southern, big cover there, Scotty. Today in the college ranks, it's Tuesday, so we got 3 games. Coastal Carolina, Louisiana Tech, Independence Bowl, currently 10.5 and 49.5. La Tech is the favorite there. Tennessee, Illinois, going to be a fun one. 5:30 start there. Tennessee now 3.5 with a 62. So some money came in overnight on Tennessee. Is now pushed that to 3.5, minus 105. Maybe Circa comes back to 3 there. And the nightcap, again, going to be a fun one. 6 with a 56.5. USC favored against TCU.
Yeah, I like I've been telling everybody this whole time. I'm not putting a lot of money on any of these smaller conference games. So this Louisiana Tech game with Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina is not a good football team. Let's just put it that way. And their quarterback got hurt. It's questionable whether this quarterback's going to play in this game. His name is Samari Collier. No, he's not the greatest kid in the world. But and then they have their left tackle who has missed the last couple games. The cornerbacks missed the last couple games. They got a linebacker who's out, safety who's been hurt, and they've actually got the replacement left tackle and the right tackle who are in transfer portal. So this is not necessarily a good football team, and at the same time, they're not necessarily a good football team. They got a lot of problems on who's playing. So I don't like that side, which I think is why you're seeing some of this movement for Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech, let me pull this up for 1 second because I don't want to speak too much out of my whatever. Louisiana Tech, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Louisiana Tech is no offense. They rank 124th in offense. So they don't score points and they don't do a lot. But they're number 52 defense, and in the division and the leagues that they play in, that's pretty good. And they're going to face Coastal, who's a 106 on offense, and their defense ranks 185. So, if you're going to bet the game, you're going to end up betting the game because Louisiana Tech plays defense. That's what you're going to end up doing. And I think that, they got covered like 10.5 now or something like that. I just can't sit there and go, I'm going to have a defensive team that I'm going to ask to go cover points. So I'm not betting that game. I don't like it that way. So, there might be a lot of reasons that come across that say, yeah, go bet it. But I'm not going to do that. So kind of quickly here, that game, the Music City Bowl game, I think is the next one. And that's Tennessee and Illinois. What I find interesting about that game is I think most people would come on here and go, hey, at least Illinois plays defense and Tennessee's good offense. Well, holy crap. No, they don't. Yeah. Illinois on defense. Let me pull this down here. Illinois on defense, they rank 113th. 113th. And defensively for Tennessee, they rank 90th. So why is Illinois any good? Well, it's because their offense is good. I don't know if people really understand. Altmaier, the quarterback for Illinois, his numbers are unbelievably good. Let me pull them up. There they are. He's thrown 68%, 12 touchdowns. He's been really good, and they can run the football too. So I think when you start to think about this game, you need to start thinking about this game in terms of Tennessee's got a good offense. Illinois' got a good offense, but Tennessee's a little better on offense. They got a better quarterback too, even though Altmaier's good. Aguiar is the quarterback for Tennessee. Now, Tennessee has a lot more opt-outs and a lot more issues going on with who's playing and that kind of stuff. But they're an SEC team. They got guys in the wings in those kinds of positions that can handle that. I shouldn't say handle it. They're just going to be decent there. But then you look at it on the defensive side of the ball, and they're both bad. But at the same time, they're both bad. Tennessee's a little better. So Tennessee's a little better on defense. Tennessee's a little better on offense. The number is it was within a field goal. So now it's a little bit over a field goal. My AI comes back and says the strongest play of today is bet this game over 61.5. Yeah, that's what it says. 38-30 Tennessee with the confidence of being able to cover that. To cover the 2.5, the confidence level is about 6.5. So out of 10. So I'm trying to decide whether I want to bet this game over the top, but because it's a bowl game and different things, I don't know how excited they are to score points and all that stuff. But I think they probably would be. I think, but it makes sense to me that this is going to be one of those spots. And then weather-wise, I don't think there's any issues here. So I don't think you're going to have any problems with that. And then the nightcap is USC and TCU. Now, TCU, everybody's kind of like, well, that TCU is pretty good. Well, they were. TCU has a issue in terms of who's playing quarterback. And if you're going to run into that kind of a problem, let me pull them up for a second. TCU, their quarterback is Hoover. That's his name. His name was Josh Hoover. 17 touchdowns. He's not playing. He's sitting out because he's either transferring or going to the NFL or doing whatever he's doing. Not playing. So you got a backup quarterback going to play. USC's defense obviously is not one of the best defenses in the world. We all kind of know that. But they still rank 43rd on defense. And the defense for TCU, they rank 87th. Their offense ranked 26th, but that's with a good quarterback. So I don't think they're going to be able to do that. I think they're going to fall that off. And then you got the number 2 offense going against the number 87 defense in TCU's world. Now, having said that, USC's got some opt-outs, wide receivers and stuff that, you want them to be in there in this game, but they're not. Like, what's that kid's name? Where is it? His name is wide receiver. Why can't I see it? Maybe he's going to – oh, yeah, Mekhi Lemon. I guess he's not going to play. So if he's not going to play, he's their best guy. That creates a little bit of a problem. But I still think that USC is bigger, stronger, faster. I think that they've got more players. And don't forget, USC has the number 1 QBR quarterback in college football. So I think Lincoln Riley does some stuff. I'm okay to bet this game at -6, anything under -7. I think it's good. The AI came back and has this game. Where is it? Has this game at right there. Okay, 31-20. 31-20 USC in this game. So I'm probably going to bet USC in this game. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to bet the over in the other game. I may not. I'm trying to decide. I think that Tennessee is going to score more than 30 points. So And I don't know if they're going to give up that many. That my concern is Illinois being able to score enough to get the game over 60, because I think the number is 61.5 or something like that. So anyway, so saying all those things, I think that's where we go today. I think I'm going to avoid the Louisiana Tech game altogether. I do like those two spots. With definitely, I'm betting USC. I'm definitely betting. I haven't done it yet, just because as we were coming on, I was look. We got to talk about these college football playoff games at some point, and I was trying to do the Ohio State game again, and the numbers are moving around a little bit in terms of the total. So I still think you're in good shape on the total. As I replugged it in and reran the numbers, and I refreshed everything, I refreshed it. And we can go in and we can talk about this game and break this game down however you want to do it, or whenever you want to do it, whether you want to do it today or tomorrow, whatever. But as the numbers move, you're going to miss out. Like, this game was 42.5 at one point. Now it's 41. Your 42 is a key number. So, but I still think you're really good here on an under. Can Miami score more than 2 touchdowns? I don't know the answer to that question. In terms of my AI says 27-10 Ohio State is what it says. But it says the under is the way better play, because you're talking about Ohio State's defense and you're talking about Miami's defense. So you've got 2 really good defenses here in this game. They didn't score very much against Texas A&M. I don't think they're going to score very much against Ohio State. So I think I don't know how many people are talking about it. But I know from past experience in playing games and doing different things, when you go on a long winning streak like Ohio State was on, there's 2 things. A, you lost a game. And I don't know how they feel about it, but my mind is it's a pretty meaningless game they lost. I don't even know if they showed what they can do, or they played all the, if they did game planning the same way, or they just kind of went through the motion. I don't know. Maybe they tried to win. I don't know the answer to that. But now they have that taste of a loss in their mouth. And I think they come back and they go, hey, we're hyper focused on this game, on this spot. I think Ohio State plays very well in this game, and I think they dominate the game. Now, so I'm not opposed to playing the -9. That shows up in my numbers, but it doesn't show up as comparative to the other college bowl games, playoff games, as best bet material. So I like a -9, but the under is the premium play of all of the games between Friday and Saturday, because it's a defensive matchup. And then I've got Oregon versus Texas Tech, Indiana, Georgia. So I got numbers that we can utilize and play with. The only thinking about this too, I don't know how many times I hear people talk about, and especially these guys online and these guys you see on other networks and on TV, and I don't know if it's TV, but whatever they're on, and they sit there and they talk about stuff, and I think it was like Circles Off or something. I saw this on there, and they make statements like they're the smartest people in the world, and that they know, and they're going to teach you, right? That's what they do. They make these statements like that, and so one of them's out there, and they're talking about the market, and they're talking about the market and how you bet into it or not bet into it, and all these different things. And then I started thinking a lot, like, what does Scott Webb do when he's doing these things, and what does all these other guys do? Well, what I do now is I take the most pristine data I can find, and instead of me writing programs and doing a lot of stuff, I ask the right questions and I get the right information back in terms of um, programming and so forth coming from a computer that says this is the projection, and it's specific to that day, that matchup, that weather condition, those odds, those players, specific to that. Whereas a lot of these guys are out here talking to you about the markets move this way, the markets move that way, do this and do that. And I get it. There's guys out there that predict markets and bet into the markets. They're not predicting the game. They're betting the market and whether the market's right or whether the market's wrong. I'm going to tell you there's lots of ways to skin a cat. And I'm going to tell you that the future of this business is if all of these people come back and they go, well, there's millions of people betting into this market. So these millions of people that bet into this market make this market tough to beat. I will tell you that that's not true. It is true to a degree in a sense of if you're out there just playing the market game and you're trying to beat the market, then you're not really picking winners of football games. You're betting against the market. And I get it. It's a stockbroker game. That's what you're playing. You could do top-down betting. It's the same concept. Go online and go and say what sports book gives you the best odds versus any other sports book and bet that number because that's the cheapest number. And then they're going to go, that's top-down betting, right? That's how you go win. You got the best market, best odds in the market. So how often does that win? Well, the reality becomes, look, trust in what you think is right and what you don't think is right. If you want to guess at a market, then guess at a market. Jeff's really good at market understanding and doing different things. He's good at that. I'm really good at going and breaking down these numbers, and I hear people all the time go, well, I bet numbers. You don't even know what that means. Like you don't know what that means. You really don't. Kelly in Vegas says it all the time. I bet numbers. I don't bet teams. No, you don't. You have no idea what that really means and how to read a market and what the market's going to do. So I don't want to get involved in trying to predict whether this number goes up or it goes down or it does this or it does that. I don't really care whether the number goes against me or it goes for me. I want to bet it when I can get the best value. Like I can show you if my numbers say this, whatever they say, and I think I've proven this over the course of doing this here on this show. I've given out every single play that I've bet, and my college number is 61%. And the market goes against me. The market goes with me. I don't really care. It's because I'm using the right information, the right data to get the right output. And I think that's the most critical thing. I've been kind of studying this AI stuff and trying to use it in other assets and different things and so forth. But my point of this whole conversation right now is you can listen to the trend guys, you can listen to the market guys, you can listen to the fake guys that are on these shows, the Brad Powerses of the world per se, the Joey Knishes, the Circles Off people, the Bear, whatever his name is, all these guys. You can listen to all of them. You're not necessarily going to get the things that actually help you and teach you different things, because you have to make a commitment. The commitment is, I'm going to bet this way, whatever way that is. I'm going to bet based off of the odds moves. I'm going to based off of the market. I'm going to based off of what my neighbor tells me. I'm going to based off of what the data I get, all of that. If you're not consistent at doing those things, you're never going to win. Look, when they tell you, and Jeff will tell you this as much as I'll tell you this, when you're sports gambling or playing poker, when you're sports gambling, the truth of the matter is there's very few people that win. And the truth is, there's very few people that win enough to do anything with what they win. So and that includes the guys you're listening to on whatever you're listening to. So I think the truth becomes, listen to the people that are teaching you, showing you, breaking it down, and actually going, like if I had a choice, I could break down and talk about this Tennessee Illinois game for half an hour and say this thing, jing, 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 hit. I don't know if anybody want to watch that. So you do a synopsis real quick, and so I have all the data. I have it all broken down. I have it all right here at my fingertips. I can talk about all of it. But you have to have more than one game to talk about, and you have to have other games that you're talking about. So I did bring in the Ohio State game. I think, as you're moving forward, there's 3 more college football games. I'm going to bet all these games today. I'm going to bet every college playoff game today, and I'm going to bet, USC probably tonight. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that Tennessee game. I might bet it over, or I might bet Tennessee. It's going to be one of the two. It's not going to be both. So we'll see how that goes. But I guess my rant today basically is this, guys. There's so much misinformation. There's so much junky crap out there. Like, I'm trying to do this stuff through a computer, through AI, giving it all the information, trying to figure out more about what key information can I ask, what can I get. Like, here's a good one. Here's a really good one. So Georgia plays Mississippi. So I don't know how many of you realize, but what's the difference between Georgia today and Georgia when they played Mississippi before? It's their damn defense. Georgia, for example, if I go back here and pull this up, Georgia over the last, because I put this in here and I ask it the question. I'm like, when we refresh our information, because I do this a lot, refresh the data, refresh the information, stuff comes out all the time. So I'm like, all right, so the reality is Georgia's defense has given up 9 points a game over the last 4 or 5 games. 9 points. And I'm like, I know their defense is better, but why is it better? Can anybody answer that question? Well, here's the answer to the question. The question as to why they're better is because, where is it at? So the defense is better because, and I don't get this information, they're an elite tackling team and have gotten better at tackling. They're number 5 nationally in missed tackles over the last 5 games or whatever it is. And then they have discipline gap integrity that erases explosive plays. So they have gone down 15% from earlier in the season. And in the last 6 games, they have 12 sacks on the quarterback. So when you start to think about what they're doing, they have the rushing yards allowed has plummeted down to 100 yards per game in SEC play, the fewest since 2022's title team, thanks to scheming tweaks and emphasizing the fundamentals and healthy returns of the defensive lineman, Mikael Williams. So, guys, look, I do the work, and I'm not trying to tell you I'm perfect, but I do the work so I can answer the questions as to why this is this and this is this and this is this. And if you don't do it that way, what are you betting on? How can you have the conviction to go to the window and go, I'm going to put $300 on this game? Well, I mean, maybe you don't bet that much. Maybe you bet $50, whatever. So my point being is this. Do things consistently. Don't do things based off of somebody's motivation. If you do it consistently, you're going to get like a hump and a hump and a hump and a hump and a hump. It's just going to be like that all the way down. Motivation wise, you typically get this big arc and then another little arc because the motivation starts to die off, and then all of a sudden it's dead. You're going to be a 50% or less winner, or you can start winning on a better basis by doing things a little different. Anyway, sorry for my rant, but it drives me absolutely bananas.
Well, in a nutshell, I'm kind of making an executive decision right now. You've already talked about you're on the Ohio State side tomorrow. There are some meaningless bowl games. There's a handful of the whatever games. My point very simply is you already talked. We've talked now since last week. We're on Ohio State. You're on minus the 9. My thoughts talking out loud to everyone watching, listening. Why don't we? That's the big game tomorrow, and we've already decided what side. Thursday, you got the granddaddies of them all, which is the first Oregon, Texas at 12, Alabama, Indiana at 4, Mississippi, Georgia at 8. So the big game tomorrow, we've already discussed. We're on the Ohio State side. But you got the 3 big boys on Thursday. So would you like to come back Thursday, 9:15, 9:30, and we'll break those 3 down. You can tell them which side you're on.
What is today? Today's Tuesday?
Tuesday.
You want to do that tomorrow, or you want to do it Thursday?
Well, I want to do those 3 games on January 1st, unless you would rather.
Okay.
Unless
Well, they
you'd
play
rather.
January 1st.
No, I. So here's my point.
Yeah.
Do you want to? There's a bunch of meaningless games tomorrow and Ohio State, Miami. So I'm going to ask you this. Would you like to break down the big 3 on Wednesday and take the first off? Or would you like to take tomorrow off since we're already discussed the big one and come back Thursday on the first and talk the big 3 then?
I don't really care one way or the other. To me, I'm going to watch Ohio State's game that night, so I'm not going to go out and and booze it all up and be all hungover, So here's what I hate. What I hate is when I come on here and I go, well, I bet this game, but I bet it's this number, and then that was my bet. So I guess as close to what I'm betting is what I would want to give out. Now that being said. I'm going to bet these games today. So I know we're not going to go over all of these games today because that, and I went over Ohio State. I'm going to play the game under the number. I'm probably going to bet that game. And here's the other thing, guys. Let me do it this way. And I'm sorry, Jeff, I know you're trying to get off, but I wanted to pull this up 1 second because I'm thinking of it this way. Where is it? Oh my goodness. So if I were to go and say, that's just going to be bad, isn't it? I was looking for my odds converter, but anyway, let's just say it this way. The actual number 1 bet of all the bets is Ohio State money line. That's the number 1 bet. That said, it's minus, in my world, it's minus 320 on ProfitX. I think it's minus more like 340, 350, maybe even
355
and other places. So the reason I'm going to tell you this is if you take 88% as the implied odds to win the game, and then you take 88%. Well, maybe I can do it that way. Take 88% and turn that into bang. There we go. So implied win probability is 88%. You know what the money line is? 700 minus 700. So when it's supposed to be that high of a number, and you only have to pay 320 or 350, you're getting half price discount. The reality becomes most people don't want to do that because you got to pay $300 to win 100, or you're paying 150 to win $75 or whatever it is. So I get all that. So that's the actual number 1 play. And you got to look at it by implied odds and what what stuff breaks down and that kind of thing. So anyway, I like the under. I'm going to play the under. I should have played it yesterday or the day before. I could have got it at 42 or 42 and a half. Now I've got to play it at 41. But I am going to play it. I'm going to play Ohio State. I'm going to play them -9, but I'm going to bet it for less. So I'm going to play Ohio State the 41, and I'm going to play the other Ohio State -9 for less. And then the other game that's kind of impactful in terms of the number is Oregon Texas Tech is actually under 51 and a half as well. And then the other games are the lines, it's the sides. So that's cool. But these games, I don't feel these. Where's the? I will tell you that the confidence level in these games are way, way, way higher. So what I tell it to do is I'm $100 a game better. Well, I'm not. I bet more than that. But when I tell it that, I tell it to give me a units and a price and all this stuff. Well, the Ohio State game under is a confidence level of 85%, and it's a 2-unit wager. It tells me to bet $250 on it as a $100 better. So whatever you do as a bettor and you're looking at those things, those are the kinds of things that help you or don't help you. I think Jeff will tell you, don't do it that way. He'll tell you, bet every game the same. I bet them based off of, one's better than another one. So and that Oregon Texas Tech is a 80%. The Indiana game, the Georgia game, they're all pretty high, and they're all pretty high because the variables with better schools, better kids, better players is less than it is with Louisiana Tech and whoever the hell they're playing today. So that's the point, is hammer these games and kind of be careful on the other ones.
A $100 two-team parlay money line. Ohio State -360, Indiana -235 will net you $82.15.
There you go. You can do that. Like those are good options to look at. As long as you believe Indiana's going to win, and of course I believe Indiana's going to win. People might not know that because I haven't said that yet, but I think Indiana's going to win. I think Ohio State's going to win. Play them on the money line together, and your return on investment will be higher. It'll be much higher than paying $350 to win 100. So I like that. I like that a lot. So that's one of those situations that you can certainly get yourself involved in, and turn that around to a favorable spot.
Myself and Scotty will be back January 1st. Next year, 2026, 9:15, 9:30. We're going to break down the big three on Thursday. Myself and Andrew McGinnis will be back here in less than 10 minutes. I'm hoping to bring Matt Grissom on as well. Everyone watching and listening, the Wager Wire community, PB, Mr. Lucky, Dr. Lance, the regular crew, thank you guys so much. It's been an amazing 2025. Got some big things up our sleeves for 2026. Hope you guys come around. If you need, reach out to Scotty at Webby20MLB. Ask a question. He'll answer it, believe it or not. You need me, EC Sports Invest. Other than that, guys, behave. Go grab a quick coffee like me, and I'll see you in about 10 minutes.